You know, something interesting, something bizarre, really. It's how we determine and view dirty words. And not only dirty words, but dirty pictures, dirty movies, dirty books, dirty magazines, dirty jokes, dirty minds. When you hear dirty before a noun, what do you think of? Do you think about dirt or mud, poop or blood, mucus or phlegm or boogers? Do you think about curse words? Do you think about the word murder, or maybe theft, or persecution, or slavery, or wrath, or vengeance, blood magic, genocide, or some kind of hate speech? Those are all pretty dirty. But you probably don't think about any of them when you hear the word dirty in front of the word mind or joke or word. We all know what you think about. Sex, right? Or something to do with sex. That's because we have been taught that sex is dirty. Yes, we have. And we're expected not to think much about sex, and especially if we aren't married. If a girl or a woman wears something a little low cut or short, Christians say, you might cause some boy or man to have a dirty thought. They mean a sexual thought, of course. Well, so what? A sexual thought or desire is natural and good, not dirty. And the guy's probably already having one anyway. So what's the harm? That desire he might feel doesn't hurt anyone. If a man is married and loves his wife, he'll do like the song says and back it on up, turn it around, take it on home. No harm, no foul. The wife, in fact, gets the blessing of that. Oh, if the wife knew, maybe she'd be upset, and that's even though she does the same thing. And if the guy is single, ooh, he had a sexual desire, one of the many he will have that day, oh no. Who cares or even thinks about it? Maybe you fear he'll think about getting down and dirty with you. Will that do any damage to you? No, you'll be home watching Netflix and eating popcorn. Listen, if it bothers you that other people have sexual thoughts and desires, well, I'm sorry, you'll just maybe have to learn to get over that. We're human beings. Events and people around us turn us on. Nothing dirty about that. They also make us laugh, anger us, inspire us, cause us to bake a blackberry pie and raise our sugar level. But none of this is dirty. Have you ever heard of a purity ring? You wear one to proclaim your virginity and to remind yourself to remain pure. Now you can be hateful and rude and judgmental and still be pure. As long as you don't have sex or do anything sexual, you're a pure person. That's opposed, of course, to a slut who kisses too many boys. And do you know what gives a girl a bad reputation? Well, here's a hint. It's not cheating on tests in school. It's not being a kleptomaniac. It's not being so hateful that nobody can stand her. No, again, it's kissing, or whatever, too many boys. And you know what teenagers can't stand to hear about regarding their parents? It's not that their parents cheat on their taxes or treat each other despicably, and they're okay thinking about their parents pooping or taking a bath or even sleeping naked. But the very thought that their parents might have sex is so awful in their minds that they cover their ears and go la 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 la. At least that's how it's portrayed on TV, and there is a reason it's presented to us that way. Just recently, a man said to me that he remained a virgin until he was married. And I said, you've forgotten who you're talking to. I happen to know because you told me that you had anal sex with your girlfriend so y'all could pretend to be virgins on your wedding day. As long as the penis doesn't slide into the vagina, then a Christian can claim to be a virgin. Oh, don't be confused. Christians will condemn you for having anal sex. They might even condemn you for having anal sex or even oral sex with your heterosexual spouse. That's just how some of them try to fool their God into thinking they're still virgins. I've even heard some young people do what they call soaking. They actually put the penis in but don't move and think that's not really having sex. They're not having sex, they're just soaking. Some people say they fondle themselves but never reach orgasm because that would be sinful. This is what a bizarre view of sex does to people. It makes them completely crazy where sex is concerned. And then, while trying to skate around the Bible's sanctions about sex and find loopholes for themselves, they condemn others for sexual sin. Christians like to accuse girls and women of being stumbling blocks because they might cause a boy or a man or another woman to have sexual desires, as if the desires aren't already there and wouldn't be there even if the girls and women were dressed from head to toe. We supposedly shouldn't do anything, say a word, glance around, bat our eyes, wear makeup, eat an ice cream cone too seductively, and on, because we might cause people to have a thought about their sexual needs. Doing what creates life and sustains it is what good, so-called pro-life Christians consider dirty. And whether it creates life or not, as it sometimes cannot, sex is still a beautiful expression of love, which Christians proclaim is their God and is the most important thing in the world. Of course, they'd say only illicit sex is dirty, but there are people who can talk about dirty things, true dirty things, like slavery, murder, theft, all kinds of evil behaviors all day. But when you just mention the word sex, they lower their eyes and turn red and act like you just told them you're going to rape them where they see it. Maybe that's an exaggeration, but you know what I mean. I was a sophomore in high school when I found out where babies come from. And that was thanks to a very kind biology teacher who explained it all to us. He also placed a box on his desk where we could put our anonymous questions. Somebody asked if you can get pregnant when you're having your period. I'll never forget the teacher's response. He said, "You can, but it takes a brave soldier to wade through blood." I guess I've known some brave soldiers. I know girls who have married without knowing how life is created. They thought women just had a baby when they wanted to have one. Now, times have changed some. I know that. And my oldest was barely 2 when he asked how the second child I was carrying was in my belly. So I told him. And when he was grown, he thought he had always known because he didn't remember that I told him. Now, there may be people hearing this who will be shocked that I did that. But I didn't want my children growing up ignorant and backward like I had. I loved my children, and being truthful with them was important to me. I wanted them to know that if they came to me, they would always get the truth, as far as I knew it. I think it's shameful to lie to innocent children who believe everything we tell them. And I had no more shame or embarrassment regarding sexuality than I did regarding other bodily functions. Nor should I have. And I didn't want the topic to be shameful or embarrassing to my children. I also didn't want my children to learn about sex from their giggling and embarrassed friends and then think that sex is dirty or something to be whispered about. I didn't want them sitting around making quiet sexual innuendos and jokes like they were doing something sneaky. I wanted them armed with information and truth about the so-called facts of life, the same as I wanted them to know any scientific fact. My precious babies came into this world through an act of sex. And to have them make light of their own beginnings when I consider their beginnings sacred and holy was more than I could bear. Everything about my babies is glorious. Don't you feel that way about yours? Some people refer to any talk about sex as being about the birds and the bees. Sex between humans is so difficult for them to discuss that they have to talk about it in terms of what other creatures do. Then they don't understand why their children grow up and hide what they're doing or don't come to them for help because they're too embarrassed to bring up the topic of sex. And please don't misunderstand what I'm saying. I get that some things are private. I'm not suggesting that we all go out and have sex in the middle of the road any more than I'm suggesting that we all go out and poop in the middle of the road. But that doesn't mean that sex is dirty. Now, we might occasionally say somebody is a dirty, rotten scoundrel because of something other than his sexual behavior. But I don't think anybody uses the words dirty and lustful and nasty for any so-called sin but sex. And that's because many people view sex itself as dirty. They consider sex to be a shameful thing, so it's dirty. Or sometimes they'll call it doing the nasty or bumping nasties. And I know this is not just confined to Christianity or to religion in general, but I do believe it has bled out into the world from the Abrahamic religions, and that's sad. Even if you consider sex outside of marriage a sin, why does that make it dirty or nasty? You call sex nasty because you view sex as nasty. Something to be whispered about because it's unclean, or something to be joked about in your locker room talk. Do you know how many religious people throw their children out of their homes because they're gay or trans? About 20 to 40% of homeless youth in the USA today are gay or transgender. I read that a conservative estimate is that around 320,000 to 400,000 gay or trans young people become homeless every year in this country. And most are probably thrown out by parents who condemn a girl for wearing a low-cut blouse. Now that's dirty. Not the gay and transgender young people, not the low-cut blouse, but parents throwing out their kids because of their sexuality. That's dirty. Think about the word lust. What does it conjure up in your head? Sexual lust, right? Why? We consider lust to be bad, and it is because it's intense, excessive, and uncontrolled desire, but not just sexual desire. Lust is uncontrolled desire for anything. We might want revenge so badly that we murder someone. We're a lustful person if that happens. But nobody thinks about murder when they think about the word lust. Again, do you think dirty books are about liars? Are dirty magazines about murderers or backbiters or unmerciful people or haters or cheaters? No. They're about sex. Good old-fashioned shoot-'em-up westerns are not dirty. Killing people's not dirty. Christians are fine with violence on TV. But show a little cleavage and they start clutching their pearls and boycotting whatever company sponsor the program. You know what's dirty? Lying for your own benefit to hurt others or to hurt others is dirty. Murder is dirty. Hypocrisy is dirty. Persecuting others because they don't believe in the same religious documents you do is dirty. And yes, turning your back on your children because of their sexuality is dirty. Dirty words, real dirty words, are bad. They're hurtful and unkind. And yes, they can relate to sex. We can use some really awful words to refer to the beautiful sexual act when we condemn the sexual behavior of others. But we should call words dirty when we use them to harm others. The expression dirty words should never be used to refer to the act that comes from love between consenting people and sometimes even creates us. Again, I find it bizarre that we use this expression for a wonderful and lovely behavior. That has bothered me most of my life. And I wish we'd stop. Thank you for watching. Bye.